Hey, this is Greg, and yes, I'm recording inside. Today we're going to be talking about an honest risk assessment and inventory. At the time that I'm recording this, we're actually dealing with the leftovers from Tropical Storm Cindy. So it's a pretty good time to be talking about preparedness. Just yesterday, about a little over an hour south of us, a tornado touched down, and luckily or unluckily, depending on how you look at it, the only thing it really damaged was a Kentucky Fried Chicken in a liquor store. So there weren't any homes involved that they know of so far, but that's still a pretty big deal. So we're going to be talking about an honest risk assessment and inventory. Now, when you first get started doing a risk assessment, this is the opportunity for you to allow your imagination to run wild. You can see I've got hurricane, tornado, job loss, sickness, economic collapse, death in the family, snowstorm, EMP, and then you see I've crossed some stuff out. Now this is not my actual list, and you can just, every time you think of something, you can just add it to it. And the reason that all of these are marked out is that it wound up going in with pandemic down here. And this list is going to be customized to you. Okay, for example, climate change. Climate change does occur. I'm not going to say that global warming is real, but we do change climates, cutting trees, industrial agriculture, draining of swamps. There's all kinds of ways that we change the climate. So climate change, in my opinion, is real. But normally it's on a more localized scale. Just allow your imagination to run wild. Write anything and everything that you're concerned about. You know, civil unrest. Where I live, I don't see that's going to be a major concern. Where I work, it could be, simply because I live in a small community and I work in a large metropolitan area. So, you know, you have to take them into consideration. Now, this list, once you get done with it, and you have everything on there that concerns you, then you're going to put it in priorities. For us, this time of year, hurricanes and tornadoes is going to be 1 and 2. Snowstorms going to be obviously way at the bottom because I'm recording this in June. And then you're just going to go through and let's see. Flooding where I live isn't going to be an issue, but again, where I work, it could be. Getting to and from work. So we're going to go, let's see. We're going to go 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now, nuclear attack, and that could also be accident. Depending upon where you live, that could be higher on the list. You know, we've got North Korea going crazy, and you know, they could conceivably attack. If they go over the poles, they could attack like Alaska, they could attack New England, and might possibly maybe be able to reach Hawaii. That would be a different route. So depending upon where you are, that may be higher up on the list. Now, zombies, for me, it's way down at the bottom of the list. Civil unrest, actually civil unrest should probably be 7, 8, okay? And that list is going to change by time of year, by location, by personality type. But this, and you've got to be honest about it, okay? You know, mudslides, California, in the tropics. You know, where was it? There was a mudslide recently. Well, there was one in California on Highway 1, and then there was one maybe Argentina, maybe just down in South America. So this one, you know, it's going to be variable. Tornadoes, it's very rare for a tornado to hit in Hawaii, but in Hawaii you might have to deal with a tsunami. So all of those are going to change, and you just put them in order. Now the reason that I do this, the reason I want you to do this, is it's going to help you prioritize in your basic preparedness. You cannot prepare for a zombie apocalypse if you're not prepared for a tornado or a snowstorm. That's just a given. I have known people that all that they were preparing for were the big Hollywood disasters. They get bored, they get burnt out, and then they quit, and then they go right back into the same mentality, and actually they're worse prepared after trying to be prepared than they would have been if they hadn't done it at all. So by doing it this way, you set yourself up with a reasonable set of expectations. Now, you've got to be honest with yourself. You cannot put a coronal mass ejection, which is a solar storm from the sun, at the top of your list. Have they happened? Yes, they've happened. Have they caused widespread power outages? Yes, they have. There's something called the Carrington event. It was in the late 1800s. But there's no way to predict that. You know, there's no way. And there's no way to know what it would do. Could it be devastating? Absolutely. But statistically, it's very low on the list. I'm not telling you not to prepare for it. I'm telling you to prepare for the other things first. Okay? All right. Now let's talk about honest inventory. Now, if you're trying to prepare for 3 days, believe it or not, the average American probably has enough food to eat through 3 days at any time in their house. It may not be stuff that you want to eat. You may not enjoy it. But in general, people do. Okay? But if you're trying to be prepared for 10 days, that's a little bit different situation. So we're going to talk about that as well. Now, here's the key. You should take your inventory of your foodstuffs the day before you go grocery shopping. That's going to be the lowest inventory level typically that you will have. You don't want to go midweek if you always grocery shop on a Friday. You want to do your inventory when you're at your lowest point. Now, just like the other list, this is not actually my list. But you can see what I'm talking about in that you want canned or dried stuff typically for storage. And you first goal is 3 days. Second goal is 10 days. Ready.gov, which is part of FEMA, says 7 days. The CDC says 10 days. And I want to say the Red Cross says 3 days. So you can see this. So I just kind of threw something together. So corn, pasta, rice, pinto beans, canned, chicken dumplings and bumplings. That's funny. Beef stew, Spam. Ooh. Now, Spam will last for flipping ever, but unless you like it, don't store it. Flour, dry beans, spices, sugar, powdered milk, powdered eggs, powdered peanut butter, instant coffee, okay? Now, of course, you're going to want water. We're going to be talking about how to store water for free next week. And just take your inventory, whatever it is. Ramen noodles, you know, and whatever you happen to have. You know, if you got Little Debbie snack cakes, put it on the list. Around here this time of year, with the kids out of school, food tends to get gone quicker. So this is the time of year we would actually take our inventory. this helps us to gauge our readiness at our weakest point. And like I said, this is always going to change. This is going to change depending upon time of the year, because in the summer we're not going to have hot cocoa. Okay, just whatever you have is what your inventory is. Without knowing where you are and knowing what you have, you can't make a plan to be better prepared. Now, the last really bad set of storms we had was April 27th, 2011. I've talked about it briefly. There were people without power for 3 weeks. Yes, they were the people who were further out, but they were still without power for a very long time. I know several that were without power for 10 days and then that weren't very far out. We had electrical crews from all over the nation working in the southeast. By having a basic level of preparedness and having a way to prepare the things that you do have, if you probably noticed, I had some ready-to-eat things that all you had to do is heat up and eat. And in all honesty, you don't have to heat them up. It's just they taste better if they are. So I hope this allows you to lay a foundation. I'd like to have people go, hey, I did my list. I did my risk assessment. And here is my number one threat. I would like to do that. I want to know that you're doing something, okay? Well, that's it for today. Step by step, we're bringing rule back. Have a great day. Bye.